Okay, we're going to do one more law of cosines example here, and this is one where we've got a triangle that we're supposed to solve, and we are given the side, side, side case. So we've got three sides of the triangle and no angles. Well, thankfully the law of cosines can help us find one of the angles. We'll use the law of sines to find a second angle, and then we'll just use a little subtraction to find a third angle. So here we go. One hint for you is that as you find the angles, I would start with the biggest angle first, just to make sure that when you do the arc cosine part of it, you don't come up with something a little bit weird. Usually we're safe if we go with the biggest angle first, okay? So the biggest angle here is angle B. So of the three different options I have for the law of cosines, I'm going to choose the one that's got angle B in the formula. So B squared equals A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of B. And then I'm going to go ahead and play the wonderful algebra game of plug stuff in. So if we plug some things in here, B is 27, so we're going to have 27 squared on one side is equal to A squared, well that's 12 squared, plus C squared, C is 20, so we got 20 squared right here, minus 2 times A, which again is 12, times C, which again is 20, times the cosine of B, which we don't know, but we'll be able to figure out. Now, a little bit different from the previous example where we were solving for a side and we knew the angle. There we were able to just type in the whole right side of the equation and it gave us a nice number. We took a square root, we had a side length. With this one, we need to get the cosine of B by itself. So this part of the expression needs to be by itself so that we can take the arc cosine and solve for angle B. Okay? So with that in mind, as we do this, we're going to do it step by step. So figure out what each of these are. Well, 27 squared is 729. You can type it in your calculator and check if you don't believe me. And that equals 12 squared, which is 144, plus 20 squared, which is 400. And then we subtract 2 times 12 times 20 is 480. So I've got 480 times the cosine of B. The fact that it's multiplied by the cosine of B is important. That means this negative 480 needs to not be combined with these two numbers, okay? It's very, very important that you just add these two, leave the negative 480 alone for right now. So adding these two guys together because they're like terms, that gives us 544. So we've got 729 equals 544 minus 480 times the cosine of B once again. Let's solve for the cosine of B. All right, to get this expression by itself, first thing would be to subtract 544 from both sides, and then you can probably see we're going to divide by negative 480 last, okay? So I subtract 544 from both sides, minus 544 over here. That's going to give us, I believe that's 185. So 185 is equal to negative 480 times the cosine of B. Okay. Our next step would be to divide by negative 480. Again, I'm trying to get this cosine bit by itself. To do that, we undo multiplication with division. If I divide on one side, I'll divide on the other side as well. So we take 185 divided by negative 480. At this point, I'm going to turn to my calculator. Okay. So we're going to take 185 divided by negative 480. Okay. It'll give us some small negative decimal, but that's okay. Remember, this isn't the angle. This is just what the cosine of the angle is equal to. So now what I do is I'm going to take the arc cosine of the previous answer. We're not rounding. I just have a nice number here. I hit enter, and it spits out an angle. Okay. Now I can round my angle measurement. So this is what B is equal to. Angle B is 112.67. Okay. So 112.67. So now that I have one of those angles, and again, that was the big one, so that makes sense that it'd be 112.67. I'm going to now use the law of sines to find a second angle. Let's go ahead and look for angle A, shall we? So I'm going to use the law of sines now, and I'll take the sine of A is to 12, because that's the opposite side, equals the sine of the angle that I now know, which is 112.67 degrees, compared to its opposite side, which is a big old 27. All right, so law of sines, we're going to solve for angle A. We'll cross multiply and divide. So as we cross multiply, we're going to take 12 times the sine of our angle, 12 times the sine of, I'm even going to use the previous answer because it's right there. So 12 times the sine of that angle equals that decimal. And we're going to divide that by 27. Okay, as we cross multiply and divide here. And remember, that's what the sine of angle A is equal to. So now we're going to use the arc sine of our previous answer. Arc sine of that decimal gives us 24.21. So 24.21 would be the measure of angle A. So I've got angle A now. I had angle B before. To find angle C, I could set up the law of sines the second time, but I think it'd probably be easier just to subtract. We've got the two angles. We'll just take 180 minus both of these to come up with angle C. Okay, pull up the calculator again. We'll take 180 minus, I'll even use the previous answer, equals that, and then we'll subtract the 112.67 we had from before, and we get 43.12. So 43.12 would be the angle measurement for angle C. Add these all up, they turn into 180. So now we knew all three sides to begin with, and now we know all three angles. We have solved another triangle using the law of cosines first, and then the law of sines, and then a little bit of subtraction. And that should do it.